Now, I don't know if I'm the only one getting excited about this, but I just saw this image of Toni Kroos managing Real Madrid Academy youngsters. These lot look about 13, 14 years old, and Toni Kroos is telling them where to go. And now that's just got me thinking about all the elite midfielders that we probably could have seen become managers and that are going to become managers in the future. Just imagine being a teenager in this position, in the Madrista Academy, being coached by Toni Kroos. This is no ordinary player. This is one of the most elite midfielders in football history. Bro, imagine trying to nutmeg someone in the rondo, you know, the little passing drill that you do in training. Imagine trying to nutmeg the guy and then Toni Kroos looks at you like, nah, play it simple, bro. Otherwise you're getting sat out. You're going to be looking at the wall for the entire session. Because remember, this is not any regime. This is a German regime. This is Toni Kroos. Like, this guy could genuinely be the key to Real Madrid's problems when it comes to their academy, because how many youngsters do they bring up? And I know, of course, Zidane had a stint where he was coaching in the academies, or actually, I think the second B Real Madrid side, but since then, I don't think they have had an elite midfielder coaching the next generation of players. And then you look at their rivals, Barcelona. La Masia is well known to be the greatest academy in football, but Real Madrid, they're lacking on that side. They ain't got youngsters popping in and out that can just replace starters in the first 11. And now, it looks like things could change. And being gassed about Toni Kroos is one thing, but also seeing the news that Jack Wilshere has just become the Luton town manager is another. Because on the 13th of October, he just got confirmed as the new Luton town manager, a side that were in the Premier League just a couple seasons back. And they have been on a downward slope, so they have reached out and asked for help from one of the most promising midfielders that we'd see in the Premier League era. Jack Wilshere, being an Arsenal youngster who came to fruition, played some of the biggest games at such a young age, then got hit with bad injuries. Everyone talks about that Champions League game that he played against Barcelona where he absolutely dominated the midfield with Xavi and Iniesta on the other side. And after an early retirement in his career and other stints here and there and appearing in charity games, it looks like Jack Wilshere has actually stepped it up a gear. No longer is he just going to be coaching the Arsenal Academy, he's taken it a step up. And having come up through the Luton youth setup in his younger years, it was only right to make a move to Luton Town. And it's not like the only coaching experience that he's had was at Arsenal. He was at Norwich City for a while back in 2024. And I don't know whether to love something like this or just get into an existential crisis, because these are midfielders that even I grew up watching. Jack Wilshere is now managing. Bro, am I in the unction? I don't know, what should I be doing on a Saturday afternoon? And this news just goes into this topic of, why do midfielders always become managers? And why do they actually become pretty decent managers too? Just look at current football right now. Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, Luis Enrique was a midfielder and also a forward too. Xabi Alonso, Xabi had his time. Ruben Amorim... No, hell nah. Hell nah. Bro, even Carlo Ancelotti was a midfielder during his time. Search up any elite manager in football and most of the time in their history they were a midfielder. It doesn't matter whether they were playing in the top 5 leagues or even Sunday League. Even Arsene Wenger back in the day, this guy was a midfielder and he didn't even reach, the actual professional clubs. Bro was playing midfield on Sunday League and still managed an invincible season in the Premier League. Like, do midfielders know something that we don't? Because growing up, I did not play as a midfielder. They put me at winger just because I was fast. It makes no sense. I probably had the mental, capacity to play midfield, but I was never deployed in that area of the pitch. And that's got me thinking, what other midfielders could actually manage? Midfielders that you would just dream to manage a club. Like Paul Pogba, for me, would probably be an elite coach. And that's just basing it off his prime ability on a football pitch, not, stuff that goes on outside of a football pitch and all his drama and stuff like that. Genuinely, you put Paul Pogba in an academy setting, with youngsters and managing them and guiding them forward, I think he does well. He brings the vibes to the changing room, but also can switch it on and tactically prepare his lineup. And if someone like Wilshere, who didn't really have a long career, just as short as Paul Pogba's can manage, then Pogba can probably throw his hat, get his coaching badges and do it too. Another midfielder that I'd probably love to become a coach is Sergio Busquets. Imagine all the Spanish midfielders that we've had that have just been elite at managing clubs. Obviously Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta is up there now. Xabi Alonso is up there now. Xavi had his time at Barcelona. Cesc Fabregas too. What about Sergio Busquets? What about Iniesta? What about David Silva? Bro, imagine these guys managing a club, telling players where to go on a pitch. They used to do it while playing in the 90 minutes. Imagine them on the sidelines, being able to have a tactics board, being able to have freedom, transfer budget, all this stuff. It's insane. Some of these midfielders that we've witnessed on a football pitch play are genuine geniuses. You know, I'm missing out someone like De Bruyne. Imagine De Bruyne becomes a manager after he retires. Oh my days, this guy's gonna have some elite team, I just know. And I actually don't know why all these midfielders become elite coaches. You know, is it because of their tactics or their technique in game? Like, how are they, you know, reciprocating the ideas that were going on in their head? Because it is quite hard from transitioning from one of the team to being the authority in charge and leading a side. And then when we reflect on the players that did become elite managers and you look at their midfielding careers, some of them weren't really the best. Like Pep Guardiola wasn't the most elite midfielder. Mikel Arteta was definitely not one of the most elite midfielders. But then it's always a double-edged sword. You know, there's some examples that weren't and some examples that were. Look at Zidane, you know, amazing personal career and then an amazing career with Real Madrid managing an incredible team. But was that because of his tactics or was it because he had a prime Real Madrid side with Ronaldo, Ramos, all these brothers? I don't know. You tell me. But that was just me talking about midfielders becoming managers, and also that pretty much all came from me seeing a post on my YouTube page of Toni Kroos managing some youngsters at Real Madrid. Anyways, this has been Jib Rules 101, and peace.